Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Blades of Roses, a game of swashbuckling action, suspicious intrigue, and oh my goodness, the family's fighting. The family's just fighting. The family is fighting. All set in the world of 7th Sea. I'm Dan McCurdy, and I will be your storyteller tonight. And we'll introduce you to our lovely players, starting with Marquis.
Hello, everyone. I am Marquis. I am Marquis1305 on any social media you're allowed to find me at. And I play Masara O'Toole, the Inishmore princess who definitely did not touch the Fae thing earlier and is not going to be touching it again. And it's not my fault that the family is fighting. That's all Kristoff's fault. Your turn.
It's thrown out a lot of blame for somebody who didn't do anything. But I'm the account explosion on the places on the internet, and I will be playing Kristoff, and it is now a toss-up as to who I'm going to be more disappointed in tonight, Marquis or Dan. Salt?
Alrighty, I am Salt, or Saltiest Unicorn on the TikToks. I'll be playing Smoke, the sea captain, who has at least a little bit of sea knowledge. Knows that there's a book somewhere in her collection because this is like ringing some bells, but is not sure she has enough time to read the book. Just throwing that out there, family. Alrighty, go ahead, Took.
Hello, I am Took, I guess. You can find me everywhere, especially here on the Twitches and the TikToks. I am going to be playing the thieving blood witch, Juniper Gagnon, and I will be touching a lot of shit. I really probably shouldn't be touching. Cass.
Hi everyone, I'm Nikki, aka Crafty Mirage on all social media platforms, and I will be playing Lucrecia Castille de Marquez, aka Cass, the one who's trying to be the good child and not disappoint her parents, including her adopted family parents, but they're all fighting, and I'm just kind of just going to sit here and be quiet and do my drawings. Go ahead, Natalie.
Hi everyone, I'm Natalie New, also known as New to You on TikTok and other channels, which I will eventually be posting on. But I am playing the role of Katherina, and I'm stoked to be here. Let's do this.
Yes, we are having yet another villain episode, and we are so stoked to have Natalie here playing with us. Now, in our last episode, having escaped the pirate captain Delphine, the crew had some splaining to do. There was a funeral that needed to be tended to, and going on around that was a crew that had dealt with so much pain and so much hurt and so much loss, and for the very first time had not acted as one in a very important situation. Multiple people trying to sacrifice themselves, multiple people telling other people to knock that off, and trying to come to some sort of understanding together. Meanwhile, they continued on the ship, the Cerulean Tides, which now seems a little bit more, shall we say, animated than maybe it had in the past, heading towards an island that was a colony for Eisner refugees, being led by yet another of Kristoff's nibblings, this one, Runa, who Verhilda, his other nibbling, had come to get various supplies for the colony and had brought the whole party along in the first place. Upon arriving at the colony, they found that it was actually doing rather well, that the supplies that were being brought in were not desperately needed supplies, but sort of a top-off, a guarantee that everything would be good over the winter, even if the winter went particularly badly. Everything they were said was going fine on this island, known in Eisner as Seal Island, so long as they avoided the ruins in the high spaces of the hill. Of course, then the party wanted to see those ruins, and going up found a number of things that were strange. First off, they found the image of a speared El Tiburon, and Captain Smoke found, to her great surprise, that her tattoos in that space were just tattoos. There might have been a pattern on a druid altar table that Mez spotted, with a little bit of nudging from a fae that might be sitting on her shoulder at the moment, that reminded her of druidic magics, and also might have had something in common with the ring that Juniper always carries. And in the midst of all of this, Kristoff caught between two families, his most recently adopted one and the one he was always with, coming together in interesting ways, and him sort of wondering, what am I going to do with all of these crazy kids? And as they walk off down the hill, cool wind blows. It blows over mountains and is driven up into the air and becomes cold, and it picks up moisture, which freezes and starts to descend as snow, but the snow does not last long as it melts into this weird red haze that covers the massive battlefield in Eisen. What started as a battle between Eisen, Montaigne, and Avalon, no one really knowing what they were fighting for, just three armies that had clashed together and started fighting. No one had won. Because all of a sudden it became clear that the real battle that needed to be fought was those who were still alive against the dead as they rose. And a younger Kristoff Helmuth, holding his giant Zweihander sword, finds himself fighting along Montagnan, Avaloner. Suddenly, your uniform, your flag does not matter. All that matters is, do you still breathe? And if so, fight against the walking ones that do not. Kristoff, you've been fighting alone, swinging your sword desperately. You can feel the bites of 1,000 tiny little wounds, the claws, the raking strikes of the undead, and finally, in a moment of trying to figure out where the next attack is coming from, there's a moment of quiet. And it is you, in this one pocket of the battlefield, you, an Eisner captain, an Avalonian, and a Montagnan, standing there together. And for the moment, none of the dead are attacking you, though their moan and their growl is coming from literally all directions. What are you doing?
Taking a moment to breathe. The three unlikely allies behind and to the side.
As you're doing it,
clear.
an Eisner captain who's in the group walks up to you and looks around and then points. And off to the west, you see another group of them coming. They don't move in any formations. They don't move. They've no organization. Those that have weapons, only half of the time remember to use them, preferring to reach and bite for their prey and their quarry. And even so, it's tough because your weapons, you've long abandoned your pistols and your firearms. They seem to do nothing against this undead horde. It's everything. Your Zweihander is the only thing that has kept you alive. And pointing that they're coming, the captain says, we're going to need a bit more edge.
You got something on, sir?
I do. Keep an eye on them. And he nods over towards the Avalonian and the Montagnan. And he goes and he crouches next to the body, the deceased body of an Avalonian, who you had just knocked down again. And pulling out his knife, he plunges it into the chest and digs a huge opening in the front that slowly peels open, and this is weird.
I'm going to look at the Montagnan and the Avalonian.
The Montagnan
Montagnan
hasn't noticed yet, but the Avalonian is looking over mildly horrified.
Either he's got a crazy idea, or he's just gone crazy. Take the left and right flanks. I'll keep the formation broken up. You keep anything from getting behind me, and maybe we'll make it through this. Then he's either food or our savior. We'll find out quick.
The Montagnan follows. He seems to know Eisner pretty well. The Avalonian, you're more pointing and trying to get him to where he's supposed to be, but he gets the idea, but he keeps glancing down. He saw the ghoul have to be put down. He understands that this was an enemy, but before it's still watching an Eisner cut open one of his fellow mates, and he's having a moment, and you watch as the Eisner finally reaches in and pulls out the heart of this creature. and then reaches into a small pocket you hadn't noticed that he had and pulls out some powders and other things and puts them in a bowl and starts mashing them together. You paying attention, boy? You might need this someday.
Focusing more on that enemy formation coming my way. Just doing my job, sir.
How long do I have?
Oh, they ain't the fastest shufflers. Maybe a minute and a half.
He's working furiously and quickly, and then he stands up and he pours out this tincture all along his sword, and then comes over to you and pours it along your sword. And it looks literally like he's just wiping blood onto your weapons. And he goes over, and the Montanian kind of allows it, and the Avalonian just clearly wants no part of it. And he's like, all right, get ready to charge. It won't last long.
Speaking in Avalonian, you let him rub that on your sword, or it's yours we're using to rub on the next one for the third wave?
This is Hexen work, isn't it?
Maybe.
But they say it's evil.
You gonna take up your moral arguments with the undead coming at us? You go ahead and die pure.
He goes ahead and rubs on, and the captain's like, now, take the lead. Charge, go!
And charge.
And you run in, and you're carrying your weapon, and it's heavy, and you know it works on these things, but as you pull it in, suddenly you watch as your entire blade seems to burst into blue flame as you approach these undead, and as you swing it in, all of a sudden they are screaming. Before they take the chops and just collapse, they're either up or they're down. There's never been an indication of pain, but as this hits them, they scream, and some even start to run, backing off. And he's like, they can feel fear if you just speak their language. And drives in beside you, and he looks at you and he's like, if we get through this, I'll show you.
Yes, sir.
And you run forward and you're swinging and you're fighting, but then pain starts getting at you. Like I said, you've taken a lot of cuts, you've taken a lot of bites, and you feel as your wounds, it's almost like someone's messing with them as you're looking down around, and then you wake up. And for a second, your eyes are just shut. You haven't dreamed of that day in a long time. And your wounds hurt. And you glance, but to your surprise, they are remarkably well healed, but feel as if someone drenched them in salt water. And as you ache and move, you see fingers and hands touching some of the wounds, and you glance up, in a face that you have not seen in decades is looking at you from beside the bed, but you could never in a million years have forgotten Katherina.
You were hurt pretty badly. Do you want to tell me about these, or should I just assume it was the worst and we can move on?
Is this still a dream?
It can be if you want it to be.
I definitely wouldn't think something like that in my own head. Okay. Hi.
How do you feel?
Well, terrible. I'm just gonna look around and... Where am I? What time is it?
It is morning from what you can see, with the sun coming in through the window, and you look around and realize you are in Runa's cabin. It's morning.
Anybody else in here?
Runa is actually leaning by the door, Katherina has been of great help to us since we've arrived. She insists on living on her own, but having a witch handy has been a great boon to us as we've been setting up here.
That all.
Thank you.
Sit up.
I need to see where Helmut ran off to. I will leave you two. And she walks
Thank
out.
you.
Been a while. My captain's ex-girlfriend beat me up.
A long time.
That's the wounds. You look the same as you did, however long ago it was.
And you look old.
That's what most of us tend to do over the course of about 20 years. 30. Hell, I don't know. So you're helping out with the settlement here.
Within friends. I am. They call me a witch, which is different, but becoming in its own way. What have you been up to? You are getting in fights with ex-girlfriends? Sailing the seas? Taking back your old life?
Oh, that's Is it just us two in the cabin now?
Yep.
I have no idea what I'm doing. But yeah, fights with ex-girlfriend pirate captains. There was a underlord crime boss I almost got in a fight with. I thought I was reliving my youth. It turns out I'm just... that's another conversation and not... How are you doing?
The years can be monotonous, trust me, I know. I am doing well. Living as a human has been an interesting experience, to say the least. But not much has changed here. But it's dangerous here. You shouldn't be here.
And you
Why
just
are you
described it.
here?
Oh, you meant dangerous for me specifically. Well,
Yes.
poor judgment, largely the same as most stories in my life. And dropping off supplies. And some sentimental part of me that I probably should have left behind when I left ice and still kicking around in there.
The dropping off supplies part is good news, but I'm worried about this sentimental part that you're talking about. Do you have plans to stay?
No. I don't know how much you know, but I had to leave the country for safety of my family, and now that I think about it, I don't know why the hell I came back here. They are
I see.
doing fine without me, and all I'm doing is putting that at risk now, I guess.
Well, I wish we could offer you more of a warmer welcome. I mean, healing your wounds is one thing, but I wish it was more welcoming of a place to land on. I know after all this time, revisiting the same spots only makes the most sense. But I do worry about you being here. Take that as you will.
I got a lot of questions. Let me start with, do they know what you are?
They think I'm a witch, so I have kept that facade up pretty well, I would say. I don't think they actually know what I am.
Well, then I'll
People have
leave
had
it
their
at that.
suspicions. Yeah.
You said you seem to be indicating not that it's a problem I came back to Ison, but that's a problem I came back to this island. Am I reading that correct?
You would be right.
I don't recall ever being here, unless I was a lot more lost than I thought.
More of the region. I know we're some distance from Ison, but this isle in particular has had its own fresher dangers. Yes.
My niece know about all this?
Would she?
Did you tell
Would
her?
she know?
You've been trying to. You've warned her of some of the dangers, but she persists in staying.
She does know. I'm not sure if she knows the severity of it. That's what's worrisome about this.
I feel like maybe you should meet my captain and my Mez.
At this moment, we are going to flash back. It is nighttime in the village. The party has just returned from a very interesting trip up into the ruins. Mez has one of Kristoff's arms around her shoulders. Not quite force marching her back to the village, but it's not far off. Juniper has been walking with Smoke and Cass, looking over some of the drawings that Cass made. Cass has been very excited about them, pointing out all the different geometries that are familiar to various holy sites that she's used to in the Vaticine faith. And Junie keeps glancing at his ring and kind of over his shoulder, and at his ring, kind of over the shoulder. And Smoke has just generally been ushering you all. You get back to the village, and Runa points to sort of a common hall and says, we're actually planning to have a bit of a festival tomorrow. We got the final harvest in this week, and we're going to have sort of a celebration feast, particularly now that we have we have the extra, thanks to your shipment. Thank you so much, Captain. And so right now, food is kind of what you can find where you can find it, but there's usually at least stew in the pot in the mess hall if you want to check that out, and make yourselves at home. And we hope you'll stay with us a day or two at least.
That sounds absolutely lovely. We should get going, but I know that at least a day, maybe two, could be beneficial, giving people a little bit of a rest, and giving us a chance to look over the ship a bit. Also, checking a few other things out. Mez, you've had a lot of formal training, right?
Yes, I have.
I have some books of interest that you might want to look at back in the captain's cabin.
Certainly.
All right. So Smoke and Mez head into the captain's cabin. What are you going to be handing her?
So the book that I keep trying to read that ends up never getting read generally is one of the more rare books of like ocean legends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, has a few like things written in the margins and stuff like that. And just bring it to Mez's attention and be like, we should pour over this, and I've got another one that I'll take a look at. I see the look in your eyes. I know you want to go back tonight, and I'm not. I want to go explore the place too, but let's make sure we have all our information that we can first, and not do it in the middle of the night.
I suppose that's fair enough.
We can stay here an extra day. If you just please don't go back tonight.
Right. I can hold myself off for a night, perhaps two even.
Let's wait till after their festival tomorrow. Let's not ruin this for them. Other thing to keep in consideration, this is Kristoff's family.
I'm aware of the fact that it's Kristoff's family. I am also aware of other things.
I'm sure.
Oh,
Saw it. Which is why I want to arm you with the best things we can.
right. It's the best way of going about this. It's the smartest way of going about this, so let's go ahead and do that.
And Mez, feeling a very familiar sensation as she is given homework and told to sit down and focus on that for a bit, sits down with the book that she has often seen Smoke, looking like she really means to read eventually once the chaos stops. Meanwhile, Kristoff, Junie, and Cass, what are the three of you doing as the two of them head off to the ship?
Cass would be looking over the drawings some more, just pointing out little facts about them that, like, you know, when someone knows a lot of information about like something that only a certain subculture knows about. She's doing that sort of thing. She's just like, they might not have any idea what she's talking about, and she's just like, oh, and this, you can see the inspiration of this society, like that this society took from right here.
She's explaining all of the background characters for the anime, just all of them as they're.
Yeah.
So let's actually see how much she gets. Let's get your let's call it wits and panache, and see how much you can put together.
2 traits?
Oh wait, no, sorry, that's not what I meant to say. Wits and scholarship.
Okay, and I get an extra dice for flair, right?
Yep.
Ooh, that's 3 raises.
All right. Any extra dice?
No.
Okay. So with with your 3 raises, who's listening to Cass as she's doing this?
I would be off elsewhere.
Okay. What's Junie doing? All right, we'll get to that. I know that's why we'll get to that. So, Kat, you're there, and I'll say where Hilda's around. Like, where Hilda saw, that's about to be homework. I don't want to have to deal with that. And so where Hilda stayed with Cass and sat down, and Cass, you just start explaining, like, this is following so many of the Vaticine designs. Like, it's getting to the point where you're like, this isn't similar, this is precursor. This is what it was designed after. This was what it was for. And you're just going on, and Verhild is making an amazing show of listening to you. But for the main part, she's like, great, I escaped one form of homework and found another entirely. And so
and if you look right there in that little portion of architecture, you can really see how it translates to today in how they make this specific area of the building.
And so with all of that, if you're looking at the ruins later, you're going to have some potentially useful insights when you get there with that work. So let's start with, we've done a bit with Kristoff. Let's see what Junie's up to.
Junie has, without realizing it, walked off at this point, where he can be alone, and it's so fucking stupid.
So are you visibly walking towards the ruins, or just off away around the island?
I guess he would be like absentmindedly walking towards them, yeah. But not going in.
Okay.
But he is walking towards them, kind of stop halfway, because he can hear the
Junie,
don't go out by yourself and do the I'll hit you with a whip. So
Oh, I was wondering which one of these two it was. It turns out it was Smoke.
No.
Okay, good to know. Looking forward to what happens when she hears that
No,
invitation.
no. You see, there's a difference between the Mez voice in Junie's ear and the Smoke's voice in Junie. Mez's voice is like, don't steal it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Cass's voice is just Juniper doing a terrible Castilian accent.
Yes.
Don't steal it. Don't steal it. Don't steal it. Don't
Yeah, no,
Steal
Juniper
it.
at this point
No.
has
steal it.
went from have realized that the difference between the three, Kristoff is, if you're gonna do it, get away with it. Don't be stupid. So he's like, I think Smoke is the one who's probably in my mind at this point.
All right.
So he's gonna stop and just look at the ring, put the ring on again,
Mhm.
and just kind of give into it and let it talk to him instead of ignoring it like he did last time.
Okay, so you put it on and you just kind of feel it. And again, you've messed with this. This ring was instrumental in teaching you Portier magic.
Yeah.
But in a way, because it's always been there, the way it breaks the very rules it was teaching you never really occurred to you. It was just, it's what the ring did. But the fact that you've always been attuned to it, like you even take a moment to kind of try to smudge it the way you normally would deactivate one of your other marks, and nothing. It's just there, and you're always kind of conscientious of it. And that doesn't make sense. That's not how this magic works. Magic has rules. Magic has super important rules, like rules, if you try to bend or if you try to break, that's how you end up stranded in the in-between. And yet this ring seems to break most of them. Like you feel it there, and it's metal. It's it's warm if it's been against your skin lately. It's cold if it hasn't.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So can't remember the name of the material that crown was made out of.
Draconizing?
Dragonizing. Is there an opposite version of Dragonizing?
Not that you're aware of, but it occurs to you it might be something about what the ring is actually made of. But it feels just like hammered metal. Well, grooved metal, I should say. It's got a kind of groove grain to it.
Okay. And there's markings on the outside and the inside of the ring?
The inside's fairly smooth. The inside is more hammered than...
More hammered in? Okay.
Than grooved, yeah.
Fuck! He just says out loud. And he looks at the ruins. He wants to go so bad. And then he'll turn around back to the boat. It starts walking back to the boat.
Okay.
And trying to find where Smoke is.
All right. Well, that's happening. Kristoff, what are you doing?
I'm going to try to track down Runa. Hopefully it's late at night and she's not surrounded by her townsfolk.
You actually find her on a bit of a cliff overlooking... It's not really a bay. It's not big enough, but it's the kind of sheltered bit of beach that looks like they're going to be a harbor. It's where the tides is currently tied off, and she's just sort of looking out over the sea towards Eisen as it happens.
Walking up, making the obvious statement in the way that one does when they are about to walk into an uncomfortable situation and pretending like they're not. Nice view.
And one I can walk out to alone and just look at and not worry about what's going to sneak up behind me.
Well, I don't think any of us ever don't have that worry. Not here, at least.
It's safe. Relatively.
Yeah, what I didn't think about this entire boat ride over, didn't have a lot of time to do much thinking, and the time I should have thought I didn't.
You're traveling with a princess now.
Yeah, that's
I hear they can take up a lot of your time.
I was really expecting you to give me a bit more of a yelling for disappearing for however. I've lost track of time at this point.
I was furious at you when you left. But then I saw what you leaving did. And I hated you for sacrificing yourself so that we'd be safer. But all of a sudden, all I had to worry about was ghouls and the undead, and we had Hildy for that. And I didn't have to worry that Inquisitors would come by and pick up my 2-year-old and stab him with needles until he agreed to tell them where his uncle was. And so I understood. And I wanted to stay mad at you. But I couldn't. Situations reversed, I probably would have made the same choice.
Well, all the same, I'm sorry.
I'm glad you came back. Well, in here, not back.
I'm not going to say it isn't good to be back, but I'm definitely going to say it isn't as simple as I'm making it look.
Do you think your group could make a detour?
I think I think all we do is make detours these days, actually.
She pulls out an envelope that's clearly been opened and hands it to you. And it bears a duke's imprint on it. Clearly opened, the seal.
Should I read this?
I mean, theoretically, it's for his fiancée.
You're still opening your sister's letters? Still?
If she doesn't want me to open her letters, she shouldn't go away when they're going to be sent to me.
I guess she does know what she was leaving behind. You want to give me the short version of it that doesn't involve reading through a whole lot of nobles using more words than they need to?
He says it's time for the wedding. That they need to form the Legion. And he needs to start rallying the nobles. She needs to go. Probably after our little celebration, which will be a congratulations. I don't tell him too closely where we are so he doesn't send the taxman right away. Not exactly how I'd like to send her off, but if I could send her with her favorite uncle. I can't go with her. I'm needed here. And she can't stay. She's needed there.
Well, last I heard, her plan was to just walk in a straight line till she hit wherever it was she needed to be. But if we can get her there a little bit faster, then I'll see if I can talk some sense into her. Unfortunately, she takes after me quite a bit, so we'll see if that works out.
Talk sense how? Talk her out of it?
Out of the wedding?
Yeah.
Should I be?
I don't love the idea of her marrying for politics. And I'm pretty sure she'd chop off the head of any man that tried to make me do it. But, I mean, if the Western Legion reforms, who else would you want in charge of it? This is bigger than us. Like, this island is bigger than us.
She's a hell of a lot better of a swordsman than I ever was. You're a hell of a lot smarter of a scholar than I ever was. And I have no idea what your brother's up to these days, but I'm sure he's doing something better than whatever I ever could do in that regard.
He actually has a seat on the Merchants Guild in Freiburg now.
I did not see that coming. Okay. So he started talking to people is what you're saying.
No. He started just looking at them, and they filled in the blanks. He says it's amazing how much you can learn when you let other people fill the silence.
Just shake my head.
And of course,
I'm not.
I had to learn, and she holds up her arm that's been partially severed. And for the first time, you notice what's the word I'm looking for?
Prosthetic?
Prosthetic on it. Fairly simple, but articulated and capable of a little bit of a gripping action. A toy that he said someone was designing and he sent my way.
Questions for another time, I guess. But years ago, somebody told me that Hildy was going to run off and start working for some two-bit noble, and you were planning on trekking out into the wilderness into an uncharted island. I would have told both of you to sit back down where you are. And here we are. Your mother raised you, and I helped, so that nobody needs to tell you what to do, and so that if somebody else felt like they do, you wouldn't damn well listen to them anyway.
She kind of leans back against you on the seat as she's looking out over. It's going to be a rough winter, but we're going to make it. Because it's amazing what you can do when the cold's the only thing trying to kill you.
I've seen towns with less resources, worse positions, and far more incompetent leaders make it through just one winter. You're not going to make it through winter. You're going to be flourishing by the time everything's thawing again. Once it's all mud on the ground, well, you'll probably be a trade hub or something by then. Who knows?
I did mean to ask you a question, and I don't want you to take it the wrong way. I've been thinking of inviting one of the chaplains. Haven't decided Vaticine or Objectionist yet, but a chapel, maybe. So if someone sees it, they don't immediately just think, oh, look, Eisner heathens.
Well, my cross is nothing but rust on the bottom of a riverbed somewhere. And all I can say is my life did not markedly change between wearing that cross and throwing it away. So I don't think inviting one of them in here is going to make it worse at the very least. And I've been hanging out in Castille. You can't have politics without a priest. It's evidently just the way things work. I was drinking with an inquisitor. He invited me into his house. He doesn't know I'm a hex, and he thinks I work for the Inish nobility, but that's not the point.
Don't you?
It's
Does he pay
complicated.
you?
I don't know. She gives me money, and then after she gives me money, I give it back. But there's always still more money, even after it.
Not a bad situation to be in, really.
Yeah, more than that, I think it's the situation I want to be in.
Really? You found a place too.
Maybe.
Our family. I've seen how the girls look at you. It's a lot like how we look at you.
Yeah, it's a conversation for another time. I'll leave you to your view.
Go ahead and head to my cabin. I've had a bed made up for you. And don't argue. I've seen the wounds. I will call the princess and tell her to make you go to bed.
She probably
Payback for all the times you did that with Mom.
just gonna grumble and making an affected display of basically having a tantrum walking off.
I was cuter than that.
Just grumble louder.
All right. Does anyone attempt any nighttime shenanigans? Any nighttime runs on the ruins? Is anyone trying to sneak away? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I really, really want to. I just got all this homework about it, so now I want to study it.
Let's do
John is
feel-
also watching.
I feel like at some point Smoke and Cass would have just sat down and just been like, all right, we'll take shifts.
All right, so I do want to say, with the studying that Mez and Smoke have been doing, what you're coming up with is that Labuka has no knowledge of this place.
Okay.
Which is weird. They travel everywhere. They research everything. And it's not like old Empire ruins are not interesting.
There's
So
treasure
this
there.
place has stayed. And again, you also notice as you're looking stuff over, and this was mentioned when you all first came here, this island is not on any of the charts. And it's not that it's tiny. Now, it's not on any trade routes, and it's far enough away from the major ports that, okay, it could have just been missed, but like it's not like people are very studiously mapping the maw, but it just gives you it's weird. So that's your oh yeah, what?
Yeah, good there. Does Bruce come back after I leave that area, or does he come back
Once
at
you are
all?
down by the shoreline, Bruce he's moving slow, but he's moving again. But still, and as you notice that, you kind of check, and there's still no feeling of Delphine.
Okay. And is there any feeling of the new one? Has it started to like percolate?
You know, it is starting to have that pins and needles, like your arm fell asleep and is starting to wake up. That kind of a sensation, and you glance down and you see kind of flowing colors in it. So the magic tattoo is magic tattooing, but it's sort of like someone went crazy with watercolors, and they're just kind of all bleeding into everything.
Still hasn't decided yet. Got it.
Mez, for your research, since you don't have the I know shit ability, let's go ahead and have you do your wits and scholarship.
I rolled that ahead of time in preparation for this.
Well done.
I knew what was going to happen. I have 3 raises and 1 left over that I would like to sell.
All right. Natalie, that takes your danger points from 5 to 6. and you can spend those as things go on whenever you want to do shenanigans. So 3 raises. You're digging in, and for a moment, you kind of forget the whole "I don't want to be here," like because you're getting into.
I'm learning. There's this thing, and this connects to this over here, and this connects to that over there, and
it's not books, not embroidery.
And the more and more you're looking, and again, a lot of it's Labucan knowledge in general and stuff, and a lot of stuff about the sirens is coming up, and a lot of it is feeling very, very familiar. You've done a fair amount of study of the Fae of the air. You've done a fair amount of study of the Fae of the rivers. You've done a fair amount of study of the Fae of the land. You've never really thought, are there Fae of the ocean?
There might be.
It's following similar patterns. Chaotic, because Fae.
Because Fae.
But so it's to like you're feeling like you're not 100% sure that the sirens are Fae, and it could also be that there's something else under the direction of the Fae. And also you're putting together a lot of kind of shape-changing things. You remember some of the stuff that Jonathan and Smoke have told you about. There isn't one description of sirens that fits. And shape-changing seems to be a very important part of this dynamic.
Well, that's true of most of the Fae. They don't, necessarily stick to one.
But less free flow and more on this form or this form.
Okay. So, Smoke.
Mm-hmm.
This is feeling an awful lot. You know how I told you about the Druid Circle being like home?
Yeah.
And you know how I have the whole Obanin thing?
Can't forget them.
Uh-huh. Well, this is feeling a lot like the stories from home about that.
Okay.
Well, so there are Fae of the seasons,
Mm-hmm.
and there are Fae of the land, and the water. This is feeling...
You're thinking ocean?
Well, I've never actually... Well, considering we're an island, I probably should have thought more about the ocean thing, but... I was on land. There were things that I needed to know about being on land. But
you were studying what was pertinent to you, which is,
well,
valid. You need
my studies didn't really include much of the Fae beyond, the fact that they came and fought people for us. And, we have our own, I wouldn't necessarily say religion, but they're a part of us, a part of our people, and the Avalonians.
Avalonians aside, you live on the ocean.
Those Hatfields of material.
You live on the whim of Mother Ocean long enough, you learn the same kinds of things for the environment you're in. That looks very familiar.
Two of them are tied.
What's bothering me is that this island is not on any maps. There's no legends or things from it. Yet clearly, there's stories about it. Maybe not the island itself, but about the things that are up on there. And it's messing with the magic of my tattoo.
If my knowledge of history is correct, there's stories about that with the... I think that they're mages. I just think they're very powerful mages, but they're called the Fae. That they're from a place beyond that we cannot find.
Fae, mage, what does it matter if they're doing essentially the same thing?
That rings a bell for you, actually, Smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know very well the legends of the Seventh Sea.
Mm-hmm.
And occasionally things get spat out. Things get swallowed by the Seventh Sea out of the normal oceans, and sometimes things get spat out by them. You've never heard of anything as big as a whole island, but...
And we've plenty of stories of things getting lost among the mists.
Yeah. I mean, there's a legend of an island on the back of a moving turtle. It's in one of the other books. Just
Not in this book, I don't need to be reading about. We're adding that to the list of things I don't want to be known about.
fair enough.
To the list.
I want to meet this person that Runa was talking about at some point. Wondering if maybe that'll give some other insight, because something's still not sitting right about them ruins. If they're on the island at all.
From what Cerulean told me.
It's got a name now.
It has a name now. It likes the name Cerulean. It said it was very pretty.
Noted.
From what it said, Heather being there is not... It's not a mistake. It's not by accident. Like I told you, it's a powerful reagent. The druids use it.
Mm-hmm.
But just putting it there, just offering that, it wasn't enough.
Okay. I don't know much about your land druids, but there are plenty of creatures on the ocean that use blood sacrifices. And that table looks like a blood sacrificing table.
Right.
This is what's got my hackles up.
Druid powers run in the blood. It runs in families. Which is part of the reason why I don't like talking about the magic stuff. And the thing the O'Bannon keeps teasing about, my ancestor,
Mm-hmm.
it was rumored that she was Fae. From what my nanny told me, she was the queen of the spring court.
You have a choice, and you'll have to make it eventually. And I know it's been ruminating in that head of yours.
I don't like thinking about it.
I understand that. But the more you run from it and and don't embrace it, the worse it's going to make it for you, really. You can't deny who you are, especially when it's built into you.
Yeah, I tried that already and then ended up announcing myself the entirety of Castille.
It's kind of like being storm-kissed. You can run away from it all you want. It's always right there with you.
Right.
And
In any
with
case-
this, I'm going to pull us down. We're going to get through the night without anyone making a run on the ruins.
Oh,
I
I
would
got
admit,
homework.
my surprise. And
You got to drink rum with the captain on the ship and read about monsters.
She would not drink your nasty rum.
And I got to put Hildy to sleep with my pointless stories.
you all wake up, and the next morning, the town is moving about and doing the stuff. And we're going to say that most of you are around and about, just seeing what's going on, seeing some of the preparations and things. And you've been told that Kristoff is being seen to by a healer. That the island has one, and Runa's like, the witch is very talented, and she'll...
You have a witch?
Oh, it's sort of a joke. In Eisen, anyone who can use magic is a witch. So we don't make the... That's
All
what the
right.
Inquisitors tell us, so...
Right.
Nauruha? Okay.
So we're going to be needing to get him clothes to prepare him for this festival. And the rest of you are going to be needing to wear your fineries if we're going to be having a proper feast.
I already brought this sweater.
You're really that cold, Cass?
I'm from San Juan and I've never really left. It's freezing.
Do you
up
want my
here.
woolen blanket?
I made a scarf.
Right. So that's not fineries, but we're going to let it pass because you're freezing.
Yes. Natalie, yes. So the door opens, and out walks Kristoff, next to, in what has to be said, somewhat of a familiar way, with Katherina.
Everybody's just standing out front of Runa's.
Well, like it's a smallish village, so it's not like everyone's standing there waiting for you to come out. But folks were
Absolutely standing waiting.
Okay.
100.
I guess I should just be happy you weren't listening to the door yet.
I would never do anything so rude as listening to the door.
I'd just walk in and interrupt if I really needed to.
I would knock first.
I wouldn't.
And Castille and Cass is is just saying casually to Mez and Smoke, since she knows that they understand Castilian. The witch is very pretty. She's very close to Kristoff right now.
What? Is he not allowed to have a caller? Is he not allowed to have friends other than us?
I'm just surprised considering how curmudgeon he is most of the time.
He turned down my aunt.
And then in perfect Eisen to Katherina. It's a pleasure to meet you, my dear. Masara O'Toole of Inishmore.
Lovely to make your acquaintance. Kristoff, who are all of these people? Are these your friends, crewmates? I'd love an introduction.
Well, this is an old friend of mine, Katherina. We, guess you could say she saved my life once before already. And this is Mez, Masara O'Toole, Princess of Inishmore, Captain Smoke, Juniper, and I'm not saying your whole last name. That's Cass.
Cass is just fine.
Charmed. Lovely meeting all of you. I would have to say you've been taking great care of Kristoff, but I would have to say otherwise at this point after seeing his wounds. But I trust he's in good hands. It's lovely meeting him.
If we're being fair, I basically did this to myself.
You really did. I tried patching him up, but I'm not formally trained.
You did a lovely job with the bandages.
And actually, some of you will look and see, like, where the cuts were on his arms remain uncovered, and most of the bandages are gone, and the wounds look remarkably, magically, probably healed. If very red and angry. As if wounds had been bathed in salt water.
Salt water is the secret. It's the secret.
I thought we were out of this when Nick left.
No, every villain's gonna be this way. And I love it. Here for it.
Thank you so much for taking care of him. It's greatly appreciated. Is there anything we can do for you in return?
Oh, perhaps nothing that, well, nothing that we should discuss so openly. But yes, let's talk about somewhat of a trade, perhaps later. Kristoff, I know you're in need of getting ready for the celebration to come.
I went through your things and found your best clothes.
I told her not to, but
All of my clothes are nice.
All of your clothes are very nice. However, there are some that are a bit nicer than others because you haven't been to, repairing them in some time.
It was the one with the least amount of holes in it.
Not to say you don't have any fashion sense, you definitely do. Just
you kind
I
of
could
suck at
warn.
it.
I could-
It wasn't the best.
I could patch some of them up for you at some point while we're sailing. I'm very bored up there on the crow's nest.
They're mostly made of patches these days.
At this moment,
refugees.
At this moment, you all hear a high-pitched yell coming from north of the village. And in is running Sophie, Runa's oldest child and daughter. I'm just like, they came out of nowhere. I got separated from Helmut. We gotta go. We have to go now.
And immediately, seeming as if out of nowhere from her skirts, Sarah has the rapier at the ready. Let's go.
But Helmut is right there, and she points at Kristoff.
Little one.
There's...
Oh.
Already.
Smoke has that and her sword on her side anyway, because that would have been her dress best. And is ready to go.
I'll find something heavy to pick up on the way.
You do that quite often, Kristoff.
You would
Actually,
you learn to carry.
As you all are running in that general direction, yes, we're running. We're not stopping to grab anything. So y'all are moving, and as you are passing around outside, you do see a two-handed broadsword leaning out the thing. About, like half the size of your Zweihander, but still, to most people, a pretty heavy sword. Looks like it's something for guards to grab if they need. As they're moving up, and as you are moving up, running into the hills, you can hear the yells of the little boy Helmut, which now that you're kind of focusing again, Kristoff, he was teeny tiny when you left. Now is just probably, let's call it 11, 12 years old. And as you see him running, and after him are what those of you who remained on the Cerulean tides would clearly recognize as sirens. 12 of them.
Okay. Gonna stand between, or run up to stand between the child and them.
Mm-hmm.
Are they singing?
They, actually, that's a very good point.
I need to know.
They are, in fact, crooning, though not at you yet. They haven't seen you yet. They are singing to Helmut, who is running and starting to slow down.
Activating my thing.
All right.
I will be plugging my ears the second I see them, and I will direct Kristoff and Juniper to do the same.
You sound like a bunch of wailing banshees.
They turn around and they look at you, and they split into two groups as they start circling around you. Yes, I'm not going to let you use your one ability to wipe them all out at once. Sorry.
You never let me have anything nice.
You almost died.
And then you get cut up by pirates. So we got...
But if I take another dramatic wound, my dice explode.
No, by the way, you are completely healed. You still have the visible wounds, but you are back.
Oh.
All of your death spirals are at 0.
Nice.
Or the villain can make it harder for us. It's a villain episode.
Yeah.
Right. So, Kristoff and I on the left, the rest of you to the right.
Good with that?
Okay.
All right.
All right, you scream and wheeze.
Go ahead and give me... How are we approaching this?
I will
have
be...
to ask.
I am just going to run in with the sword and swing. It hasn't failed me yet.
I don't have the advantage of being high up, so I will be using my rapier and fighting on the ground like a normal person.
Whip in one hand, cutlass in the other.
All right.
We go straight into the Aldana.
Rapier and dagger combo, of course, for me.
All of y'all with all fancy swords and whips. Me.
All right. So use your usual combat rolls that we typically give you. Sounds like everyone's going fairly straightforward. I looked away for a second. I looked back, and it looked like Cass was a traffic cone.
Avoid traffic. You shall not pass. This is a construction zone.
All right.
I have another extra die if anyone would like to purchase it. Villain.
Yeah, sure. We'll push her up to seven dice. Seven danger points. Which you'll notice none have been spent just as yet. All right. So 2 groups of 6. What are our raise counts? 3, 4.
Wait, what are we rolling?
4.
I'm so sorry.
Your usual combat. So for you, Brawn and Brawl. So 4, 8, 12. So they're going to be handled.
There you go.
It is very easy.
Just throwing out insults every second I can.
4, 8, 12, 16. Kristoff, what was yours? All right, 19. 19, the group rushes in, and the sirens are taken more or less entirely by surprise. You're able to go in, and it sounds like no one's really looking to pull punches. There's a kid in danger, so we're just going in quick and hard. Cass is throwing her daggers. Kristoff is taking broad swings. Mez is doing her dance and sort of moving in and out of them and kind of luring them into other people's attacks. Smoke has got her whip and her cutlass going around, and Juniper's just pounding heads. And the battle, in a way that you've kind of seen, sometimes battles are slow and drawn out. This is just, the group just goes hog wild and dives in, and before long, all of the sirens are down.
I still don't understand why y'all were talking about the fact that they could lure people out. It just sounds like very pretty singing.
Hang on, I can't hear. 1 second. What?
It just sounds like pretty singing. It doesn't have anything.
I don't know. I didn't hear them.
Fair.
What? Oh.
Folks pull back out, and
We need to find out what's going on here.
And Helmut runs up to Kristoff and just grabs him around one of the legs, and just his legs, and is just holding him. It was just.
Let's get you back to your mother.
Okay.
I'm gonna just pick him up and nice light jog back into town.
They come, and before you're like halfway there, Verhild and Runa are sprinting up, and they're like, and Katherina not too far behind them, who had actually gone to get Verhild, and Runa just grabs him, holding him. It's like, what happened? What were they?
Sirens.
Sirens. We've never seen them here.
I would like to make direct eye contact with Kristoff and kind of incline my head a little bit.
Just return the nod slightly.
What could have brought them?
The sea really just can't be underestimated.
I need to take him and give him a drink and lay him down.
Get him back to town, Hildy. As much as I know you want to go charging towards danger, stay with the town, make sure nothing else is happening there. I think we should probably go see what we can see from where those sirens came from.
Right. And they both go off and head on down. And you all turn. And you start walking. Is Katherina staying with them? As they're heading towards the ruin?
With the group, or am I going back? Is that what you're
would you
asking?
head back to town, or would you head to town, or would you stay with the group?
I'd probably stay with the group.
Okay. So
If you didn't, I'd motion And not that Kristoff is any good at this, but attempt to, more under my breath, just say to Katherina, "You seem to know something."
Okay, well, if we're spilling all the secrets, we did once try to make a treaty with the people here. It didn't go over smoothly. We were attacked. There was hate. We were driven out. And we told them, time and time again, not to underestimate the sea. I am not surprised to see this come to fruition.
And as you all are walking up towards the ruins, trying to comprehend this, Smoke gets a sudden feeling as if before, when you walked up here, your awareness is deadened. But all of a sudden, they go hot. You look down and you half expect Bruce to jump off of your arm. And looking around, you are suddenly aware of massive groups underneath the water from seemingly every direction heading towards the island. And you don't know how long you have. And with that, we are going to take a quick break. We will be back in, call it about 10 minutes. And we will see you all when we get back. Later. And welcome back. As Smoke is suddenly overwhelmed by this sense of creatures in the water coming from all directions, and you are aware this is a level of sensitivity that you are not used to, and in the same way that the ruins previously deadened the effect of Bruce, now it is being wildly amplified.
So I know that they're coming from like all directions type thing. That's what I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will say exactly that. Like, we need to be prepared. This was just the first wave. There's so many more.
So when we get to the ruins, maybe don't touch anything. I mean, it might make your fingers tingle a little bit. It's best not to touch anything in there. I mean,
Is it, my
still
dear?
have a chance to get out of here.
Then she's giving off all the spooky fucking feelings. So Juniper has just been in the back this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Has she been acting very weird when something related to the situation has been mentioned? Has she been trying to persuade us to do something that we probably shouldn't do, like leave, like now?
Like, you literally just met her for the first time when Kristoff came out. Like, it's been like 15 minutes since she and Kristoff came out of the cabin. She's obviously, she has this way of talking to the party like she's talking to Kristoff, and it's generally okay that the rest of you can hear it. But there hasn't been any strong sense of trying to persuade you one way or the other yet.
Okay. Because the last ex or last friend of a friend jabbed us in the ribs, quite literally. So he's being very like...
Oh, sorry, my dear. What do you happen to know about the ruins?
Like most ancient things, there is a measure of reverence that must be brought to these places that often is neglected by most humankind.
So then,
they have a
by
hard
that train
time.
of thought, wouldn't it be better to show it reverence?
Yes, but it's not common for humans to show reverence to things by touching them.
You say human like you aren't one.
How does Kristoff react when that is said?
She's not.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I thought you all were aware that I wasn't.
No.
No.
Oh. Yes, I am Katherina. I am not human.
So...
You're not the first one we've met. That's not.
True, but what are you?
She ain't a siren. She ain't a zombie.
Okay.
That
I'm a
about covers
hippo.
everything we need to know.
Right.
You hate him.
Mez, you know,
Hi.
in reading the books last night, some pattern has happened that we've noticed. We only see groups, big, organized groups of sirens when they're being controlled by something else. Otherwise, they're pretty solitary-ish, smallish groups, kind of like the Cove when we first sailed. This doesn't feel natural.
There's a lot about this island that doesn't feel natural.
Maybe we should just go up to the ruins and find out what's going on.
Now, we had just hit the ruins, right, Dan?
You're getting close.
Getting
Getting
closer.
close and
Like,
start.
you're getting into the range. Like, you're just out, kind of outside of the perimeter when all of a sudden Bruce started going crazy.
So, here's my question to you then. I'm of Inishmore. We've got things out there akin to this. Are you protecting it or are you keeping it away?
Can't those work side by side?
Oftentimes they do.
Is it of interest to push that boundary then, if your own safety is on the line and the safety of others?
Care less about my own safety and more about those.
Then it's in best interest if the others are thought of first.
Then wouldn't it be better to be bolstering whatever's protecting this area?
Bolstering? Why would we do that?
To protect the Isle and the people on it.
What we have to bolster is not meant to protect those on it.
That's what we needed to know. Do you have the information you need, Smoke?
What is it meant to do?
We need to get up to the ruins.
I wouldn't
Turn.
do that.
What are the ruins meant to do?
It looks like you'll find out.
All right, so the party rushes into the circle, and immediately every one of you that has magical awareness can just feel, well, with an exception. Mez, you feel the essence heat, but otherwise you're not feeling anything different.
It does that.
Your shield.
Because I have it on, yep.
Yeah. But Smoke, your tattoos are like, and you look to where the new one is, and it looks like a perfect video of the ocean is playing on your arm. Like flowing colors moving in, like it looks like real life. And Bruce is like diving into it and trying to bite it, but not able to consume. Junie, that sense of dizziness that you get whenever you're near another portier who is traveling, you're feeling that when you're there, but there's nothing here. It's like this place, it's here, it's the in-between, it's a mark, it's going crazy. And Kristoff, you're not used to sensing things with Hexenberg, with the exception of when you go into ghost form. You feel like you're in ghost form.
Can I follow them to the ruins?
Absolutely.
Can I also spend a danger point when we get in there to just like extinguish all light and just have it be completely dark in there?
Okay. Spend the danger point. As you all walk into the ruins, suddenly you hear Katherina's voice, but it is speaking. It's high fluctuations of sounds, almost a trilling in the back of her voice that's all over the place. And then, even though it's a bright, sunny morning, darkness just suddenly eclipses everything.
Interesting.
And the last thing you see are her eyes suddenly glowing in a perfect aquamarine before they shut. And you are all in complete darkness.
You said that I'm feeling things like when
like when you're in ghost form.
Can I try to tap into that and see if I can actually either extend my senses into that or actually mimic that effect here?
Would you have a tincture prepared?
No,
Actually,
I don't.
Let's go ahead. So you're in this weird place that's sort of bending the rules. So if you spend a hero point, I will permit you to roll your wits and your notice as you attempt to use your extrasensory perception.
Okay. So yeah,
This is wildly... You've never done anything like this before. This is entirely you feel... So the hero point to power it, and then...
Well, there's a lot suddenly riding on this, and now I have to do the thing I don't want to do. So, yeah, my goal is to basically see if with the senses that I have in the spirit form, if I can actually pick out anything here that we were not privy to from the world of flesh.
Okay.
I will spend that hero point. You said wits and...
Wits and notice.
Okay.
Can I spend a point to raise that difficulty?
You sure can. 15s are now the requirement, though 10s are because crits auto raises.
Also, when I get,
I trusted you.
when there's a chance, I'd like to cause some chaos.
Of course.
I want to
Well, that
spend
makes that
hero
one
point.
raise with 3 left over.
I'd like to spend my hero point to give him 3 more dice.
Okay. A hero point has been spent to add 3 dice to his hero.
So that's 3 raises with 1 left over that I'm not selling. I'm keeping that one for me.
All right. So, Kristoff, you feeling this weird Juniper as this is happening. All right, you're almost positive someone's porting now. And it's like you could point to Kristoff, even though it's dark. You know exactly where he is and what he's doing, as if he were marked. Kristoff, all of a sudden, you can see everything, but unlike, it's like looking through a filter, specifically a red one. And suddenly that clear sky seems to be full of clouds, and the wind is blowing, and looking all around the water all around the island seems to be roiling in red, and the wind is blowing. And this, and standing in the middle of the circle, looking straight at you, you see Katherina. Still beautiful. Still the woman you saw all those years ago. But now she seems to be standing like 8 feet tall. And her hair is blowing in wild, it's almost less like hair and more like snakes or tentacles coming out of her scalp as she stares at you with, where everything else is red, again, those aquamarine eyes. And what are you doing as you look at him, aware that he's aware of you?
I am going to maintain eye contact with him, and I'm going to walk over to Mess and lean down and whisper in her ear, "You know too much," and I'm going to bite her.
All right, so everyone, everyone is going to be, so what is the approach in this fight? Remember, most of you cannot see.
That's all right.
I don't know what's going on. I don't hear anything. I don't see anything. So I don't know that any danger is happening. So my Cass's first instinct is to go towards the altar and to try to like using direction sense and everything, because I know the layout.
Yeah,
and everything.
You know roughly what direction you're moving in. So
yeah.
So for now, we're going to say you're not even in the fight. You're just trying to make your way to the table, and we'll resolve that at the end of the round. What's Junie doing? You are aware of where Kristoff is, and that's again a directional sense, as in it is as if he is marked, and it's all of a sudden your awareness of him being marked just went, oh, like who just blood marked him? Is kind of what Junie would be thinking right now. So what do you do with that knowledge? And you all heard the trilling voice. It was clearly coming from her. The darkness fell.
Okay. Shit.
I wanted to say something, but actually, now that I think about it, that can wait until after we do all the rolling parts.
Okay.
Masara is not pulling her blade.
Okay.
Well, she kind of mostly already had it out, but she's not wielding it. She is instead going to try to speak with Katherina.
All right. Junie?
He can. He's very fucking confused. But he will just kind of say, "I fucking knew it." out loud. And then
Never good when they get that window down there. I should have known. Never good when the window down.
And Kristoff is the only one that he can fill in that direction, so he'll just start making his way towards you.
With my thing up, am I... Because I know last time I was invisible to Kristoff, and I'm usually invisible to Juniper whenever he does the porting.
Oh, that's right.
Stuff.
That's right. Kristoff, from your perspective, she made full eye contact when she walked over to bite Mez, but you are not seeing Mez.
I am invisible to all of the people who need to be able to
just like air.
So she did block out the light, but it's not as perfect as the magic would have, and so it's more like, for you, Mez, this is very dim light, not complete blackness. It's not a perfect blackout for you.
She sees in grayscale.
I see in grayscale.
It's a moonless night.
Oh, now I have that stuck in my
I
head.
have dark vision.
A moonless night, like on a ship in a storm. Also, direction sense, and you said that the tattoos are active and moving, meaning I can activate or have, if Bruce is as angry as I am, activate his major, which means that he's now tracking.
Actually, I'm going to say you don't even need... Oh, you want to go straight to tracking. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
that
like,
can actually...
I have both, but like my thought is I know that there's a shit ton around me. I want that one. And so that would be like between my direction sense, hearing, like, I should be able to at least get one good swipe, or at least close enough.
1 second.
I've
Odd
got
evens.
2 raisins.
Odd even smoke.
Even.
As you latch onto her essence, with Bruce in the old way you know, there is an eagerness that makes you afraid. You know that El Tiburon deeply approves of what you're proposing. And you never like making him this happy. But in this moment, maybe you can deal with it. Just so it gives you a second's pause.
Yeah.
Latching him onto her. Anyway, so if you are fighting, we're going to handle the fighting bits first, and then we will handle the chatty bits. So if you are in a fighting thing, which is just smoke at this point, I believe.
I wanted to say something, but I am also preparing to fight. Okay,
so you're getting your sword out as you see this happen. So Smoke, roll your weapon, your finesse and weapon.
Okay.
And Katherina, roll your strength. All 12.
Nice. Now, the making things harder earlier, was that for battle too? Or was that... Okay.
15s are still required for raises.
Fuck yes.
And as a reminder, when you to build a raise, the idea is like a 10 is a raise, 2 5s is a raise, but you don't get change. So if the dice you put together forms an 11, you don't get to hold on to that one for the next one. So just, I find the easiest way to do it is to roll your dice, build a raise, put it aside, build the next raise, put it aside.
I only can reroll one. Fuck. Yeah. Okay. So I have 3 raises because I got 2 10s.
All right.
And I've got 2 dice left over that I'm not selling.
All right. So, how many raises was that again for you, Natalie? 5? Total?
5.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, on 5 raises, you are going well first, and you get your bite, and you go in, and Kristoff has full view of this, and you watch as her jaw almost seems to distend, and clamps down on Mizara, doing 12 wounds.
Except he doesn't see Mizara.
Yeah, she just seems to bite down on a thing.
I couldn't put that one together, though.
You are aware of the fact that in the zone, you were not able to see Mizara before. but she kind of rips her head back. That's one action. Now we're going down to the 4, to point 4 in the initiative. 4 raises. That's still you, Katherina. What are you doing now? You just bit her.
Okay. I'm gonna try to like sweep her feet out and just leave her vulnerable on the ground.
Easily enough done. You just trip under. Masara goes down hard. We are now at 3s. Smoke, you are aware that Mez is down because, well, you know where she is, and you heard sounds you don't like. None of this is subtle. None of this is quiet. And Smoke, it is now your turn with 3 raises.
I'm full on going to. I think it's slash. I am brain dead. That's what it is. Okay. I don't want to use my Montavani on this. I want to slash.
All right. So you just run up and take a slash with the sword, and you have an option here. Well, first, so you do yes.
Okay, there's one other thing, and I just realized because of the shark, right? So this is going in the dark. It would, in my head, be an extra risk trying to attack in the dark, even though I have all the senses. I'm still not 100%. Mm-hmm. I do get an extra bonus die.
Right.
Which I could roll, and if it does get me 15, it would still put me at 4 right here, and still put me in the same spot. And I was just thinking about that.
Okay, so for the next round, keep that in mind. We'll so you dash forward and you get in a slash, and your total combat. So your finesse plus your weapons is
6.
6 plus the mark. Actually, that's where this will come in. Plus the mark, so to 7. And you come in and you do a slash, and Katherina, that hurts. But you are still there, and you're not feeling good. Katherina now has a dramatic wound, and don't worry, I'm keeping track of your health.
Activating my virtue the first time. Oh, that's not it. It's earn a hero point when you resort to the edge of a blade.
Oh,
maybe.
Yep.
Okay.
You definitely just resorted to the edge of a blade.
And then the first time you wound a villain during a fight, make her take a dramatic wound in addition to the wounds you normally heal. Victorious.
Okay. Is that just a thing, or is it a hero point?
That is the Arcana, the Victorious War. Oh. Activate your virtue the first time you wound a villain during a fight to make her take a dramatic wound in addition to the wounds you normally deal.
Activate a virtue, so that costs a hero point. Did you spend yours to give the 3 dice?
I did, but if I get the hero point from the clerk,
then immediate spend.
And an immediate spend for that, then
you resorted to the sword, you hit, you do the wounds. Okay, yeah, I will buy that. So you have given her
used them for once.
Nope. She has now taken 2 dramatic wounds. Yes, Kristoff.
We can edit that out. My brain stopped working. The thing I wanted to say earlier that I fucking forgot was I wanted to actually activate my virtue to take the hit for Mez. And I forgot. I'm guessing too late.
Next one then for someone. But,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So and now it is your third raise move. You just took a major hit from Smoke. What is Katherina doing? And it actually, I will put this way, your people have fought with the pirate nation of Labuka before. They are the humans that are the most interested in interfering with the people, with those under the sea. And you feel that Labuka steel hit you, and you're really not happy.
Yeah. I would like to rage. No, I'm just gonna go full force after her and maybe like use, because I can imagine like I have claws like as weapons, like my teeth and claws.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna start slashing.
You will watch as well. Only Kristoff watches as she seems to grow even more. Well, yeah, Mez, from what you're seeing in the shadows, you don't like any of this. That really hurt, and the growling and the snarling and the weird clicking of the sea sounds as she comes in and a clawed hand flies forward at Smoke in order to do 12 wounds.
I'm gonna jump in front of that.
Spend your hero point. Wait,
That doesn't require a hero point.
that one doesn't take it. Okay, you jump.
No, virtues don't require a hero point.
Does it say activate your virtue?
I just looked it up. They have no cost associated with them, but they can only be activated once per session.
That's the one. That's right. Okay. So you still have your hero point. So.
Oh, okay.
All right. So yeah, 12 wounds.
You don't have to. You really don't have to.
It's done. He jumps in front and takes the full hit of the claw as it connects and gets hurled back, bouncing off of the stone table.
Oh, great.
So
Were you always a monster, or were you just somebody else that I also let down?
You didn't let me down. This is all just pleasantries. You're getting to know the real me, Kristoff. Isn't that what you
And
want?
I'm going to smile at that bitch then.
How far is Massaro away from the stone table?
Not particularly far. 5-10 feet maybe.
And now she's focused on Smoke?
Yeah, she's now focused on Smoke and Kristoff. Second raise. Smoke.
All right. Well, I'm going to do a different attack. That way I can get my point. And I will do a bash.
All right.
Can I spend a danger point to dodge that?
Yeah, spending one of your danger points. She's coming in to kind of bash and get a little moment, and as it's happening, this wind just seems to wildly come through and buffet, and Smoke, you get kind of knocked back, and you did connect, but it doesn't have the effect that you were hoping for as the thing comes through. So that's another one of your danger points spent.
Okay.
And now on your actual turn, Katherina.
So Kristoff is now far from me, right?
You can get to him without much
past.
problem. Most of this is just flavor at this point.
Okay. Why don't we get you out of the way? And I'm gonna kind of slide over to where Kristoff is and spend another danger point and bash him against the wall in an attempt to knock him out.
All right. That's going to be another 12 points of wounds to Kristoff.
I am helpless then.
Kristoff gets pounded hard into the wall, and he's not fully unconscious, but you do kind of collapse into the ground. At least this time it's not a bunch of little wounds. It's one major claw wound and a concussion. As you are just slammed into one of the rock walls. And as that happens, there's a weird chime almost that seems to fill the air, and the darkness shimmers a little bit. Smoke, I believe you have your last raise of the combat round.
I do. And then in that case, yeah, all right, so then I will go ahead and go back to a slash.
Mm-hmm.
Because of what we're doing. Be like, words.
We all word great. We word well.
Words are hard. Words are hard.
Why is it always the X's that are coming after us? And just like go and slash at her.
All right, so you do another 6 points, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
It's just equal to the skill in weapons. It's not equal to the total dice roll. As much as that does not help us.
So your skill in weapons, what's the total of your skill in weapon scores?
Mine's 3 then.
Oh, okay.
But wouldn't it also get the 4th one because of Shark? Because that's good to the end of the scene.
Yes.
So it gets the bonus for that.
Mm-hmm. So 4 total. Okay. She is hurting, but still up. And we come to the end of the combat round. We're going to resolve what everyone else was up to. Let's go around the circle real quick. Crafty, what's Cass doing? All of a sudden, there's that shimmer, and now you two are in. It's not it's no longer magical darkness. It's moonless, cloud covered night. So very dark, but not impenetrable. And you don't like at all the sounds and screams you're hearing.
So, do I see Kristoff?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see what you can see. Let's go ahead and give me your wit and notice. And you're going to need at least 3 to get anything.
I get a dice for flair, right?
Mm-hmm. You haven't used it yet. 15. You're shooting for 15s.
2 of those were crits, and I got 3 exactly.
All right. So at 3, you're able.
And I have
to
1
see...
left over, so I will sell it. I have 2 left over, so I will sell that.
All right. You can sell 1. You can only do one pool.
I will sell 1.
Add another danger die to your pool, Natalie. You get one of those back.
Oh, cool.
Because that's what when they sell leftover dice, that's what that does. They get a hero point. You get a danger point. I will get to you, Kristoff. Juniper, you were headed towards the table, correct?
I was heading towards the table. He was heading towards Kristoff.
All right, so yeah, you know where. So sorry, let me finish, Crafty. So you know where Kristoff is. What are you?
So I saw him hit the wall, and then that shimmer happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm no longer heading to the wall. I'm running towards the nearest. I see that the darkness has dimmed after that.
Mm-hmm.
Running towards the nearest wall, and I'm going to legitimately kick the wall. Like throw myself, kick the wall. As
the kinetic energy crashes into the wall, there's another odd chime, but this one is almost like the bell is kind of broken, and the shimmer happens again, and now it's dim light, and you're kind of able to. It seems to be doing something to her magic.
And as I see that happening, I'm just going to shout out, "Hit the walls!"
All right, Junie.
I can feel Kristoff getting fucked up, right?
Again, it's just territorial, but you have the context clues of everything else that's happening, and you imagine he's not having a good day.
Okay. You said it feels like all the magic here is like amplified, like crazy. Amplified,
and Kristoff. Actually, I'm going to say when Kristoff went helpless. Okay, so Kristoff, when you went helpless, your ability to hold on to the ghost perception fades. And it was like Kristoff was marked, and then the mark was gone.
Okay.
I actually had a question that might affect that. This is going to be a GM rule thing. Since I was wanting to say something to her before I decided on my action, but I never got a chance to roll dice to defend myself, is that are we just going with as is? I have had my ass kicked, or
yeah, you were preparing for one thing and then another thing happened. So yeah, you got your ass kicked there, and you did have the chance to talk. So I'm going to go with.
Well, you said you were doing social actions after the die rolls, so
yeah, but then you talked, and so I figured that we were just having it there. If you want to have a chance to talk or make some sort of social risk at this point. Do you have a hero point left?
No.
Okay. So, actually, was that ability? Did that require a hero point?
Which one?
The do a thing, act as if you had no wounds until the end of a round.
Yeah, that's a hero point.
Okay. So I will give you, if you want to take a risk in this to attempt the social thing before, because
Well, no, the social thing was literally asking her if she was always a monster, or if basically I needed to know if did she need to die, or is there something going on that would be a reason not to kill her. Was what I needed, and yeah, I got that. Just got it too late.
Gotcha. Mez. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I keep popping around. Junie. Sorry.
I don't fucking remember anymore exactly what I was gonna do, so I'm just gonna wing it. So by now he would have heard Castille hit the wall, correct?
Yep.
And something he doesn't know exactly. Well, I guess he can put two together. It's the other witch in the room, fucking him up. Not having the fact that he wasn't there to protect Kristoff again. So he's going to wherever he faded from when he hit the wall. Junie's just gonna run in that direction, and if he feels or sees something big and monstrous, he's gonna punch in the fucking kneecaps.
All right, so you're running in. So you will join the combat in the next round. Is there anything you want to do before you join combat in the next round?
I don't know, because
you did hear her yell, "Hit the walls," and you were by the walls. You were headed that way.
Okay, then I'll take out a dagger and just run it across the walls.
You're pulling
trying
a dagger?
to scratch it and fuck up the walls in some way.
All right, you pull out a dagger, and as you drag it across, and you're doing this in low light. You're doing this trying to see what's going on and what's happening up. And as you move it across, the ring, which you never took off, scrapes against the wall, and all of a sudden, where before it was like someone was tinging on a bell, and then it was kind of broken. Now there's almost like a sonorous, like the bells of Notre Dame ring. Nice. As your ring touches it, and it is back to full light. But all around, the magic continues to go crazy. You see pebbles and stuff start just levitating off of the ground, and a weird focus of power. And the look, the wind, the tendrils coming off of Katherina are all still there as she just stands monstrously over the beaten forms of Kristoff over by the wall, and Mez, who got so badly bit, on the ground. So you're going to be jumping into the combat, and Mez, you on the ground after having taken the bite.
Can I activate my hubris to get a hero point?
Sure. Remind me again, I believe you. Just remind me exactly what it entails.
Relentless. Activate a hubris once per session to get a hero point. And in my case, it's relentless. Don't leave well enough alone. Get myself in more trouble. And in the spirit of that, I would like to do my extremely bad idea, ace in the hole, then, if you'll allow that.
What is ace in the hole again?
None of you know.
Let me do
Let me see what Mez is doing, and then I'll do you.
Gotcha.
Because you might want to save that ace in the hole for after I do my thing. Masara can now see the stone table, yes? Mm-hmm. She is going to pull off the essence of Heather, pour it into her hand that now has blood all over it from this giant bite, and hold it just away from the stone table while looking up at Katherina.
Katherina, you see this, and you do not want her to do this. And it's...
I am Masara O'Toole of Inishmore, of the bloodline of Aisling, of the Winter Court, of the Spring Court. Talk to us, and we can find a way to be fixing this. Otherwise, whatever magic's here, whatever druid magic is here, I will be activating it.
I will be activating it. All
Touch.
of these humans are plagues. And I'm gonna go and hiss and bite her again, if I can.
All right, so that'll be the next round of combat. That is happening. Kristoff, if you want to do your thing is there to do.
Yep. Use my hubris. Use that hero point to activate I Won't Die Here, so I ignore the negative effects of dramatic wounds, and I'm going to need to make a corruption roll after I drink the potion that I'm about to take.
Okay. So let's handle that first. You've spent your point.
I needed a 2. I got a 3.
You needed a 3. You got a 3 because the second time you take corruption, you take 2 points of corruption instead of the 1. Congratulations.
Still got a 3.
All right. Explain to everyone what the potion is and what it does.
I actually don't know what that looks like, other than it's still dark in here, just not completely dark, right?
No, in fact, the dark's been completely...
Oh, actually, never mind. I literally can't fucking do that then. Shit.
It's okay, I just
You need to
touched
be in the
spell.
dark.
Yeah.
The dark's been banished.
It's almost like
Yeah, I
Cass-
didn't hear the part where it was completely gone. Okay. Oh, fuck.
Well, you don't take corruption.
Oh, yeah, you're back down to 1 corruption. Everything-
Yeah.
All right. We are back at the top of a round of combat. Everybody roll your combat thing. Less flair unless you have another, you're changing up how you want to be involved in this fight. Katherina, due to your wounds and due to the wounds of others, you are now rolling 15 dice. Due to her wound, the rest of you get to add 1 additional dice. It is still the same scene.
Are we still at 15? Okay.
You are all still looking for 15s. And congratulations, we are now in the first fight that you've ever had against a singular opponent that required more than 1 round.
So we get 1 for because of her wounds?
Yeah, her wounds gave a bonus to you all. Also, remember, helpless people are not fighting.
4.
4. Kristoff, if you want, I will allow you to say that you're going to use Is it to avoid becoming...
Basically, it prevents me from being helpless.
So
Essentially.
you already became helpless. So, but we were going to give it to you. Let's keep it fun. She's your villain. Let's keep you in the fight for at least 1 more round. Do you? I'll give you that choice.
Oh no, I'm going to. Fuck
Okay.
this bitch.
Okay. 4 successes. 4 successes. 3 successes. 2 successes.
I get exploding dice because of my number of dramatic wounds, and I got 7.
You're ignoring all of your dramatic wounds.
I ignore the negative effects of my dramatic wounds.
Really? I thought it said all effects. Cool.
Nope, negative effects only for 1 round.
Hell yeah.
Katherina just looks around at these creatures, these humans.
Poor unfortunate souls. Yes.
And you watch as Kristoff stands back up. You have killed people before. You've done it a lot. You've enjoyed it. You've killed Eisener soldiers before because they reminded you of him. They took a beating, but they stayed down. He is getting back up.
And smiling.
Raise 10. What do you do?
I don't like when they get back up. Is it possible? I'm just like testing the boundaries here of like what's possible while trying to keep it on theme. Is it possible for me to like I've killed Eisner soldiers before. Okay. I'm gonna go for a main artery with my teeth.
On
lunge
who?
At him.
Kristoff?
On Kristoff, yeah.
All right. You lunge forward, and your mouth goes wide, and you just clamp down onto neck or chest.
Probably neck, because chest has a little bit more meat. Can't get to the arteries as much.
So you clamp down on his neck, and Kristoff just tries to yell and can't really. There's someone biting his neck, and so biting right at the artery, and there is just blood.
I have a question.
Yes?
With the things that we are building into with Mez, and with the specific major sorcery, and the fact that she just openly accepted her bloodline and touched this stone table covered in essence of heather, would I be capable of openly activating her sorcery?
Not that conscientiously. It does take a little more understanding than that, but if you spend all of your raises, I will say that something is going to happen.
Okay. I will spend all of my raises to attempt to do Sheed Circle.
To try to do what?
Sheed Circle, which creates a area around me that the Fey creatures are not allowed within.
Okay.
Can I spend a danger point to make that harder for her to do?
She's already spending all of her raises, and it's already as difficult as it's going to get with the raises that she has.
Gotcha.
And you rush forward and you bite him, and you feel that blood as it starts coming into you, and then all of a sudden you feel something wrong. You haven't understood much of what Mez has said, like talking about bloodlines and everything. You're like,
okay,
like, what the hell? Sure,
bitch. Yeah.
I am also the Tim Tam of the Great Ones and the Grand Poobah. But as something happens, you kind of look away and blood just like dripping from you. As you look up, as Mez smashes that and goes, and a barrier appears as she, for the first time, admits to her blood what it is and mixes it with the essence of heather and places this all down on the table. And what would normally be just a field that you could not cross forms, but it forms in a thing that is pulsing and amplifying the magic within. And it runs out and it knocks you, batters you back off of Kristoff, and you hit into one of the walls, and you are going to lose 2 of your raises.
Oh, damn.
Bringing you down to 7 now. Kristoff.
Okay.
Falling back, feeling the blood on your throat, but you have not been murdered. You remain. You're going to be helpless once we're to helplessness. At 7 raises, though, it is still Katherina's turn. But you are feeling you can't get to them right now. There's some sort of weird barrier between them and you that you are not familiar with. You've never sensed magic before.
Gotcha. I can't get to Kristoff.
Not by walking to him, but you could always try something else.
Okay.
How big is that barrier? Is it just around those 2, or is it like around all of us?
You're not entirely sure what's happened, but you do know from the distance she's been pushed back. Players can know. Characters may not, but players can know you are all within this ring of protection that's been created.
I have a small Hail Mary.
So, Katherina held back with this. There are magics of your people that you have done? Is there anything that you want to try in order to get at them?
I want to try to... Now that he's bloodied, I want to try to, like, summon kelp and tie him up. I don't know. There's not a lot of lore on Selkie attacks. So, like, what can I do?
Spend a danger point and use up a raise to take you down to 6.
Okay.
And you just reach out and you all watch. You're in like highlands, like it's this sort of like it's rocky, barely grassy, but you watch as the heather that is grown in the area suddenly seems to grow and morph and meld into this weird pinkish kelp thing that just is wrapping Kristoff and cocooning him. Grade 5. You've got him held up. Still you.
I had 7 raises.
Oh, did you have 7 raises?
Yeah.
Then it's you now.
But I'm now cocooned.
Mm-hmm.
So we were teed off at 7 together. Kristoff?
Yeah.
Were you and I at 7 at the same time?
They should have been. What I'm trying to say is the cocooning happened on 6. He should have gotten a move before the cocooning happened.
Yeah.
Cool. Before the cocooning happens, while she is held back, what do you do on 7?
Run her ass through, spend all 7 raises, and deal 7 harm.
Okay. He comes forward, basically hurls himself at you.
Stay away from my family.
So you go ahead and cocoon him, but now it's on. Hang on. Where are the other raises? Who goes next? It's you at 4, so it's going to be her again at 5. 1 second.
I spent all of mine to do the thing, because Masara has no idea how to do the thing. She's just wildly eating magic.
Brute force it all. There we go.
Because this is the second time someone has almost killed my person.
Kristoff.
My Kristoff.
Katherina, you are badly hurt. There's still some fight. There's a fair amount of fight in you, but that last stab took a lot out of you.
Really? Okay. If I spent my last 3 danger points and my 6 raises, could I collapse this ruin?
And you're already manipulating the ground around it. You put out your hands. And you feel it. And you hate it. It's rock. It's dry. It's not the sea. And it's different. Yet it is. You can feel the sea and its magic here. And the climbers start going crazy all around you. The vines are covering surfaces everywhere. And you watch as it starts to crumble. And you know it's not going to happen instantly. But you have started the process of the destruction of this ruin.
Okay. And I'm going to look at Kristoff and say, I gave you a chance to save your own. I cannot stop what's coming for you. And yeah, spend all of that. And does that kill me if I do that?
No, you're still alive.
Okay. Well, I still say those things.
Chance.
I'm not taking them back.
That, she steps back off of the blade and looks around and looks like she's ready to hurl herself back at you. But then all of a sudden there's a strange lurching, and you all watch as a different pain comes over her figure, and a click, like, and a feel, and a jerk, like a leash and a collar has been tugged at. And she snarls and then turns and runs. We get to 4 raises. She is booking. Something is actively destroying the ruin around you, and you all have your raises. You were all in combat stance. You can try to chase her down if you wish, or you can address what you're currently in. Also, Kristoff is currently very hurt and wrapped up in kelp.
So who all has points left? I still have my
Everyone but Mez has
Everyone
points.
but Mez,
And Kristoff, because he spent all of his. So everyone has points.
I'm
Mez
chasing
is
her
also
down.
very hurt.
And I'm chasing her down because of the shark Mowu. I still get that point of risk and all that. So I'm going to go after her.
All right. You are now running, racing after her.
I will chase after her to lunge. That's my goal, whether it be using a raise to get to her and then lunge, or using it all.
You are able, rushing, you're able to get to her and get your lunge off. And let's see where that puts it.
Spends all my raises, deal a number of wounds equal to your ranks in weaponry plus the raises you spend. So that would be 4 raises plus 3 wounds plus the 1 for the shark.
7, 8, yeah. You hit, and you would swear a human being would be dead by now, or at least down by now. And she's definitely, and as she runs, she turns around and snarls at you, and it's not human. And you watch as her skin, which is so cut, and you realize also torn. Like she actually did grow, and it was like her body almost burst out of the skin that was trying to contain it. And it's been trying to knit itself back together, but it's been too, and then all of a sudden, all of that skin just seems to slow off of her and wash down, and underneath it's raw and it's ugly and it's mean and it's very Evil Soul Baby from Wizard series. And as she turns around, just glares at you, and then makes a running leap and manages to dive off of the cliff. Dive, collapse. She's falling towards the water. This doesn't mean your chase is over, but we're going to go and see what the others are up to as this is happening. Juniper, Cass, you were the last 2 with raises in this round. What are you doing?
I'm going to yell at Junie to grab Kristoff and get out. Building's collapsing.
Give me your wits and scholarship +2 from the work you did before.
Four raises.
Dang. Okay. You're looking around at all of this and watching as the creepers go up. And again, remember, there's no roof or anything. This is all just walls. It's very Stonehenge-y around you. And as things are going around, all of a sudden, you start putting together patterns. And yet, the walls are being crumbled, but they also seem to be rebuilding themselves. You see other bits that are flicking into place as if it's fighting. It's losing, but it's fighting. And as you're looking and putting it all together, you realize something is trying to repair the damage that was done. But it needs something more to allow it to do it.
Did Mez ever get the blood and heather onto the altar?
Yeah.
Oh.
But she used most of that power to create
Protect.
the shield to rip.
She's just, oh god. All I can think of is blood magic. Cass is going to look at Junie and just look confused. She's like, she doesn't know what's going on. She's just very confused. She's like, the walls are trying to fix themselves, but it needs something.
Okay. Well, time to do something stupid again. And he'll just kind of go near Kristoff and because he kind of dropped the dagger earlier when he slashed her across the wall. He goes to Kristoff and goes, I'm about to do something stupid. I'm sorry. And he'll take the dagger off of Kristoff because I'm sure he has some type of weapon on him. Yeah. And just based on like, because Junie's not dumb, he's probably not almost as knowledgeable as she is, but can probably figure out that there's some type of entity or some spooky shit going on in this in this cavern, in this ruins. So he understands that blood magic can influence something or make it stronger. And because he's kind of riding the wave, oh boy. Can he try and latch on to that large amount of blood magic filling to have something happen out of his control?
As you go and you make the wound that you know so well for blood magic, but you're like, how bad does this need to be? I've done this before, and you kind of fill in and you realize that what you've been feeling is almost an absence, something wanting to be filled, a suction almost. And riding the wave, you make the wound, and the blood pools, and it's there, and you can feel, again, that suction, that energy, but it wants you to do something with it. It's not enough to just have it there. You need to do something with it. And as you're looking at it and you're looking around and you're in front of the table, and you look down at the table, and there is no doubt about it. That is almost exactly the grain that can be seen on your ring.
Oh, shit.
You need to use an ability that you have. But what do you want to do?
Fuck.
Not that ability. Maybe if the party goes.
Okay, yeah. Oh, screw it. He's just gonna go over and look at the table as a whole, and he see the same grooves on his ring, and where they're kind of intricately significant in certain areas, and just kind of pinpoint those areas, kind of like where he could pull the blood and no spread to all the runes. And he's just going to strategically just pop a hole on each of his fingers and just mark.
So minor marks or major marks?
I feel like at this point, to make it work, probably a major mark.
You can make two of those right now, correct?
Just two. Yeah. I've been limited to just two. Yeah.
You cut it on the two. You place them both on the table. The marks are gone. And it wants more. Take 2 dramatic wounds.
Oh, shit.
And the blood is pulling, and it hurts. But you watch as the pieces start cutting and severing, and the Kelpie is starting to lose the fight, and things start going on. And Smoke, where you are standing at the top of the cliff looking off where Katherina fell, all of a sudden you feel as the creatures, the sirens that are approaching, and down actually you can see there is already fighting on the beach, and you can see Verhild with her sword out leading some of the guards and fighting off sirens as Jonathan and some of the crew are trying to get villagers onto the Cerulean tides, and all of a sudden it stops, and the sirens fall back, hissing and looking around, and it's like strings have been cut. And there's a moment of just pause. We come to the start of a new round. We are no longer in combat time. Unless is Smoke diving after the Selkie.
No. I don't have advantage in the water.
All right.
And there's other people that need to be tended to at this point. I could just hope the El Tiburon is around there wanting to eat something that's already bleeding in the water.
And actually looking down as this is happening, it's still Bruce. He's still Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
But he seems to have calmed down. And you're not sure if that's just because you've run away and you're no longer by the ruins, or if what's changing. Kristoff, very unconscious, though he is dimly aware of the fact that Junie told him he was going to do something stupid. Junie, you've got both of your bloody hands on the table, and you're lightheaded. You're not unconscious, but you lost a lot. You know, losing blood. This is different. This is like, whoa! But you can. Yeah. The table feels warm, and there's no sign of the blood. The table does not feel marked.
I feel like I kind of bought us time for a moment.
You're not sure in this moment. So here, let me get what people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you know to this moment. Let's start. Mez, you've been quiet for a little bit. What are you up to?
So Masara is going to pull herself back up to standing because she was just hand up onto the stone.
Mm-hmm.
Pulls herself back up to standing, looks to Juniper, and time for us to have another one of those chats, and grabs both of his hands and lets her own blood continue dripping down her arm onto the table.
Okay.
And will raise herself a traumatic wound to assist in what he is doing and bolster her own.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
As you do. Didn't I tell you your blood's needed?
That's something along those lines.
Stop. And your debt is paid.
Not unless I know this island is protected.
Trust in your team. Your blood is not for this. This is not your magic. It'll work, but at a cost that you can't imagine. Leave the bleeding to the Blood Witch.
Couldn't have said that half a wound ago, and just kind of like falls back.
Cass, what are you doing? Holy shit, you just said a magic thing and it kind of worked.
Evacuation.
All right.
Run. No. I'm not gonna run myself. I'm going to.
You are actually watching the building rebuild itself. What you did worked. And
okay.
But you don't have, and Smoke's not back yet to say whatever we're doing. So.
Working or not.
Chris, I'm gonna go to get Kristoff, and I'm going to struggle to get him, like, to start dragging him out of there.
It's kelp. It's easy enough cut. You have daggers, you have swords, and so you're able to get him out. He is heavy.
Yeah, I'm dragging him.
Not very happy because he didn't get into armor this morning, so he just kind of collapses down. Junie.
At least I'm already bandaged for the ass kicking I just got.
Yeah.
It's on you this time.
It feels like that now.
So what you doing?
Oh, I was like, man, I don't like this pause. I got so scared.
I can keep buying you time with whatever it is I'm doing, but you need to keep doing what you're doing.
Well, if I keep doing that, I'll die. Question: how many dramatic wounds can one hero take before
At 4, you're helpless. So
At 4,
can do
you
what
pass
just
out.
did. One more.
From experience, though, you can get 7 and you still are okay next episode.
Get 7. Okay. He knows the limits, and he knows this is probably going to take more than just one blood wish to do. At this point, what it feels like, unless he feels otherwise, and his curiousness
Juniper.
overtakes. Oh boy,
Heather is a great free agent.
I don't have any. Oh,
it's all
Oh,
around.
shit,
It's
and all
really
around him.
everywhere.
he's like shit. He's just gonna go and like handfuls and just smashing them against wounds and and just
This
grabbing-
time, and as you do it, it's not pulling your blood. The heather mixes in with your blood, but instead of that, like it was sucking it out of you, it's like the wounds you already have are sufficient. And the energy just spreads out, and all of the kelp that is tearing the ruins down breaks away. Is heather again. Now just growing like a vine on the walls that are building up underneath it, and you watch as the murals start aligning around. And you see the pictures, undeniably, of sirens, of El Tiburon speared, of people coming together around a table and really trying. And one, on the far edge, that you'd never seen before, of a woman in a cage, held away, chained to the wall, and a figure approaching her and offering what looks a whole lot like a seal skin. And then in the next, almost like a comic panel, the cage opening, and the woman stepping free. The magic calms. The ruins restored, almost to what they might have looked like centuries before. More heather than you can believe. That anyone with allergies, you're probably not loving it right now.
No.
Smoke, you get up to the ruin, and the last thing you feel before your sense gets cut off again is the sirens dissipating away out into the ocean, as if fleeing.
So the question is the sirens spearing El Tiburon in the thing, is it because, like, would I get the understanding of why that's there? Like, are they protecting the island away from El Tiburon and then this other thing?
You walk in and you see the new things.
Like,
And
what pieces do I all put together?
you're putting, and from what you know, and you're like, the humans freed the sirens from El Tiburon, and in exchange, they speared him. But there was one that was not freed yet. The Selkie. And with that, we are going to bring this episode to a close. Thanks so much to Squirrels of Darkness for hosting us. Thank you so much to our producer, Dell, for everything you do in all of this. Dell was actually going to be Katherina, but was really sick. Huge thanks to Natalie, to you, for stepping in so last second in order to do this for us. It is so much fun to have you as one of our villains. Thank you for being here with us. And as we say here at Squirrels of Darkness, and team.